Lamzu is a company that seemingly came out of nowhere and gained instant popularity last year by releasing one of the most interesting mice, Atlantis. And a little later it satisfied the demand of fans of small mice by releasing a mini version of Atlantis. Today we will look at the logical evolution of the Atlantis model, 4K version. In this review I want to try a new video structure, namely to mention only the main aspects, pros and cons. If I didn't mention something, it means that everything is fine there. Let's start with the most important thing, the shape. In general, the Atlantis model is a classic shape mainly for claw grip. The hump is shifted to the back and there is a small extension of the shell at the back. It seems rather big in contrast to the front part of the mouse. And here is probably the most important difference from the competitors in the same type of mice for claw grip, Pulsar X2, Ninjutsu Sora and Game Gear XM2, a rather large and aggressive narrowing in the center part of the mouse, and I generally like it better than the flat sides as in the Pulsar X2. But in the case of Atlantis Mini, it's too narrow waist for me, and this is the biggest problem with the shape for me personally. I have a 90 cm by 2 cm hand, my grip is mainly finger grip or relaxed claw grip, and this narrow side makes me use aggressive claw grip. It is necessary to bend little finger a lot for a stable grip. After a couple of hours the fingers start to hurt quite a bit at the joint, and it doesn't even help here with extended pinky option, which I sometimes use with the Jewel's HTX grip. I can show good results with this mouse, but not for long. It seems that if you have a hand smaller than mine, it probably won't be such problem. If it's bigger, I can't recommend it. I'd rather look at the Atlantis regional size or Pulsar X2, where the sides are flatter. Especially the X2 V2 is coming out. Well, let's move on to what you're probably most interested in and what is the main feature of this mouse, 4K polling rate. I'll start by explaining a little confusion around the models and their naming. There are two ways to get the 4K version of this mouse. The first and the easiest is to buy a version that has 4K writing on it, which is Mini and OG. They come with a 4K dongle in the box, boring black color, both dongle and mouse. The second option is to buy a mouse and 4K dongle separately. It will cost a couple bucks more, but then you get more mouse color options to choose from, and the dongle has a rather interesting design. But you need to buy a mouse labeled like Pro. There is the Atlantis, OG, V2 Pro and the Mini Pro. They are the only ones that have Nordic MCU chip and capable of 4K polling rate. So be careful, it is really easy to make a mistake here and accidentally buy a mouse of old model which technically cannot work with 4K dongle. So get your tinfoil hats ready. We are getting into the territory of personal subjective feelings. I currently have 3 mice that have 4K polling rates. It's the Sutter, V3 Pro, HTX 4K and this Lamzu. And when I first got this mouse I had some strange feelings about 4K. First of all, I noticed some decreases in FPS and status, especially in AimLab. Which is weird. I have a pretty powerful PC and the other 2 mice didn't have that effect. After consulting with knowledgeable people, I tried to change the USB port, did some manipulations with reassigning USB ports to specific processor cores, then the problem went away. And in general, compared to the other mice, aim on Lamzu seemed to me not so stable and smooth. But recently, Lamzu released a firmware update and everything became noticeably better. Aim has become much smoother and more stable, and It's hard for me to say if it's placebo effect. But I spent a few days in AM Lab comparing all my 4K mice, and with the new update I didn't find much difference in the 4K implementation of these mice. So I highly recommend updating your mouse for firmware as soon as you get it. In terms of battery life, with constant 4K mode I charge the mouse once every 2 days, that's about 20 hours of use. I realize it's not important, but the Lamzu still offers a pleasant unboxing experience. Nice box, nice package, extra larger lights, dot glides, grips and out. Overall, the packaging is like a premium product, which is nice. On the positive side, I would also mention the good coating. The matte finish is nice to the touch and very grippy. And my hands sweat quite a lot, and even so the mouse does not slip out of my hand, but very easily collects fingerprints and dirt. Overall, I like the look. The bottom is made interesting, especially with that white PCB. But if I'm picky, I'd like to point out that the build quality is not the best. After months of active use, the mouse noticeably crunches when squeezed, but it's not felt in real use, of course, if you do not squeeze the mouse when aiming. The buttons are placed low enough, which is good. The switches are our favorite transparent Huano blue shell pink dot, a bit tighter than usual. Moreover, the left button is tighter than the right one, a little side play, but not felt when playing. Super minimal pre-travel, side buttons and wheel is okay. I can't say anything special here. I definitely recommend installing the software from Lamzu to immediately set the bounce time to 0 milliseconds. In general, I have a good impressions about this mouse. Let's keep in mind that is 4K mouse for $100. Accordingly, the quality is noticeably better than in Chinese 4K mouse for $50, but worse than a big brand that costs more, like $150. All in all, a fair price. If you're looking for a claw grip mouse, I recommend considering this one, or wait for my next videos where we take a look at similarly shaped mice. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Stay safe, stay tuned, bye.